Hello, my friend.
Hello. Greetings from beautiful Idaho.
Beautiful Idaho. We're getting a gorgeous sunset. Yeah.
It's very
Quite lovely.
beautiful and got through some hairy mountain passes today.
Yes.
And so very appreciative for flat land right now.
Yeah.
And dry roads.
I'm very appreciative of Rhiannon's driving because I would have freaked out if I was behind the wheel. But good job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I would have to say I'm an excellent driver.
Excellent driver.
Excellent driver. But today we are still on the road again.
We are on the road.
For part 2 of Genevieve and Rhiannon on the road.
Yes.
Feeling a little Jack Kerouac.
Yeah.
A little bit.
For sure.
But, another interesting day.
Yeah.
Another day of, appreciating beauty around you.
Yeah.
And again, another day to be very grateful of where I am in my life and where I've been.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they say that, some of the hardest things that you go through help you to become stronger, get you to where you are and where you need to be. And so I would say, the last couple of years have been a struggle for both of us.
Yep.
Getting pushed into the direction we're supposed to be on, which is at least at this moment right here, right now. So.
Yep. And it feels good.
Yeah.
And going through it, learned a lot.
Yep.
Really learned who my true friends are.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
And who really has your back.
Yeah.
And also learned a hard lesson that, sometimes you can put everything of who you are into something that you believe in so strongly. And like an organization, for an example, and because those are led by people, and just like religion, since religion was created by man and is infallible, so are these organizations, and they aren't always led by the strongest people or the best leaders. And as someone who was a leader of many of these organizations for the majority of my teaching career, it really hurts and it really breaks your heart when those organizations break your heart.
Yep.
And end up sabotaging and stabbing you in the back, and doing everything they possibly can to prevent you from what you're trying to do and the work that you're trying to do, even though it would benefit everyone. And, was started because of the training and the learning, the experiences and the activism and organizing I learned, which led me to where I am today. And we want to share some stories, I guess, with y'all on our experience on this road of learning and rediscovering what really matters.
Absolutely. And I lost it. Sorry to interrupt you.
It's okay. Well, as many of you know, Genevieve and I were very active in teachers unions, and became leaders of those organizations. We wanted to really ensure that the work that we were doing as leaders would impact all of the members and all of everyone for good. And we really had some great training and
great
ideas that started to get us thinking about different ways in which we wanted to steer our union, and especially when it became with really trying to dismantle white supremacy and white supremacy culture that is so prevalent, not only in education and in society in general, but that also exists within our union. And some of this culture, such as perfectionism, or the ideas of perfectionism, worshiping the written word, can get in the way of that work.
And avoidance of conflict. And I guess we share our stories because it came back to me. As people are mobilizing and organizing and jumping into organizations that, they really believe in, I guess it's just kind of like um, guard your heart a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Guard your heart a little bit. Keep your eyes open.
Yep.
Not everyone is in it for the right reasons.
Mm-mm.
Not everyone is in it to actually do the work. There's a lot of lip service when it comes to advocacy, like true activism.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just a little heads up warning. But yeah, the white supremacy culture. Well, what you listed, Rhiannon, are facets of white supremacy culture.
Yes.
And as an organization, we were really committed to fighting that, as a mostly white, mostly female profession and union, at least, or organization that we were part of. There's a lot of learning that needs to be done, especially for us white folks, especially for us white women. And it's easy to say you're good. Oh, I've read an anti-racist book. I'm good.
I wear a t-shirt.
Yeah, I wear a t-shirt. Black Lives Matter. It goes so much more in depth with that. And I've been on my anti-racist journey very consciously. I think when I started my teaching licensure program about 15 years ago, but really since I came back to the United States from Tokyo, actually like taking classes, studying from folks, reading books, really, really re-examining who I am in this world and how I perpetuate harmful things. Because, if you carry any kind of privilege, it's really easy to see or have a blind eye to the struggles that other folks are going through.
Absolutely. And when we tried to challenge that, or when we tried to even just suggest to think differently or do differently, we were met with fragility, anger, avoidance, denial, and it quite shocked me. As a matter of fact, I was very shocked at the reaction we got to call out. And, part of anti-racism work is really putting that mirror in front of you and looking deep within yourself on how you contribute to these systems and how you contribute to maintaining the status quo or perpetuating the negative traits of all traits of white supremacy culture, especially when they're so embedded. And what we normally do, or what you would think is what I do normally, is actually white supremacist because it is so ingrained in our society and the way that we communicate or do life. And so we were met with absolute
resistance.
Resistance is putting it softly.
Vehemence.
Complete denial, and then anger that we even brought it up. And that gave me a huge pause. Huge pause. Especially after losing one of my closest friends who helped me get on this journey. And we had just completed some really great work on his behalf. And so it felt like I was slapped in the face, and completely opposite of where I thought we were headed. And
it was a complete 180.
Yep.
It was a complete 180.
And that caused some friction.
Because, when you have hard conversations and you are willing to address conflict, you find that you are few and far between.
Yep. And when you just suggest for people to think about their behavior or their reactions to things that it may be racist and not intended to be, but just is, really shook people.
Yeah.
And to the point where friends of mine and friends that I had done so much work with, that I considered a sister to me, was one of the first people I called when my mom passed away, and completely just ignored me. Stopped talking to me, completely stopped texting me. I tried to reach out to figure out what's going on, and I got some random gift left on my stoop with some half-ass apology and explanation of behavior, which was complete and total bullshit, quite frankly. And it made me think that this person really wasn't my friend. She wasn't the sister that I thought she was. And thank God that she showed her true colors, because when people show you who they are, it's who they are. And I saw her do this to other people, but didn't think that it would happen to me. And it did.
Yeah.
And not only did she just stop talking, she actively worked against me and against my friends and against my family and put members and our entire integrity of our association in jeopardy.
Yeah. I have a, similar-ish.
Yeah, please.
Friend, mentor who just completely stabbed me in the back.
Yep.
And then, got in the way of many other opportunities that I pursued. And, actively caused harm, actively sought harm, probably still seeks harm.
Yep.
And yeah, so the heartbreak in those scenarios run very deep. It is a very painful wound. But getting to know who people really are is part of, I think, going to be this process of collective healing too.
Yeah.
The smaller your circle, the more people that you truly can trust, that you truly know have your back, the better. Because I don't know that most people do. There's a lot of fakeness out there. There's a lot of hypocrisy.
Oh, yeah. Which brings me to another story. Many of you know I ran for office, and Genevieve was my campaign manager, and I consider both of us running because we were a team. And if I was going to the Capitol, Genevieve was coming with me.
Yeah.
But I ran for office, and I ran because of the education, the learning, the training, the encouragement that I received from leaders of the organizations, and ran because I really was trained to do it, was actively trained and encouraged to do so.
By two organizations.
Three, technically.
3. Yeah.
And so I did it. And it took a lot of courage for me to do it. But I did it. And I did it in the hopes of making our members' lives better.
Yeah.
And to make collective bargaining
possible
completely
for everybody,
for everyone in this state, and really change not only funding for education, but accountability measures and how we grade quote unquote teachers and schools, and really incorporate some real deep, lasting change in public education in Colorado, which I thought the organization was behind.
Yeah, same.
And I had put my lifeblood, my blood, sweat, tears, money, everything into these organizations.
All of your free moments for decades.
For decades, literally. And really championed them on all fronts. I thought, I would be given an opportunity, and not special treatment, but a fair and equitable opportunity to receive the support of my organizations and members who I've worked so hard for. And was denied at every turn, and to the point of sabotaging at every turn.
Yep.
Was denied the same opportunities as other candidates, had things done in back rooms and deals made against me that included, leaders, presidents, vice presidents, secretaries, leaders of these organizations who actively worked against one of their own members.
Yep.
And supposed friend.
Yeah.
No support.
Well, and that was one of the most heartbreaking things too, is that a difficult conversation that two adults were unwilling to have resulted in all of these other people in the organization getting brainwashed, turning their backs on your campaign, you and your campaign, and high and dry.
Absolutely.
And no one took any accountability.
Yeah.
Or apologized even.
No.
I mean,
nope.
It was super devastating.
And the fact that no one had the courage.
Yeah.
And that's what broke my heart.
Yeah.
And I was fine. And I petitioned and I knocked doors and used all those skills that they taught me.
Yep.
And what is so ironic about it all, not only did they work actively against me, there were members who were on the small donor committee who had already endorsed my candidate. My opponent, excuse me. And were actively working for her to get her elected against one of their own members.
Refused to openly endorse until
after the primary.
After
assembly.
The assembly.
Assembly.
Yeah.
And when I didn't make it through assembly, then decided to then all of a sudden endorse and put all of this money and support behind the candidate who, by the way, didn't win the caucus, lost handedly in assembly, and BT Dubs lost handedly in the primary.
Yeah.
So it was kind of almost poetic justice that all this money, all this time, all this energy went to this candidate and she fucking lost handedly to the other candidate who I supported when I lost because I knew she would actually make some change at the Capitol and just happened to pass her first bill this past week. Unanimously, which will benefit students in our district and
all over the state.
All over the state.
Yep. Cutting through red tape.
So, not only did it break my heart and teach me a really good lesson about who are really there for you and who's not there for you, and that these organizations are fallible because they're led by incompetent cronies.
Incompetent cronies. We should get a t-shirt made.
Incompetent cronies. And when they're using the same tactics of the people who we're fighting against, when they're acting very Trumpism or very Trumpian, and now they look like Elon Musk, it just makes me smile.
Yeah.
And it makes me smile because I am not associated with them anymore.
Absolutely.
And I don't have to put on the mask or play into this performative bullshit that means absolutely nothing because these people do not care. They do not care.
That was one of the disappointing lessons from all of this too, is learning that a lot of these leaders that you thought were going to be courageous, say the hard things out loud, push back, didn't, because they were worried about their next job.
Yep.
I mean, if that's not straight out of the political handbook, I don't know what is. And so there are a handful of true leaders out there who are going to push back no matter the cost to them, personally, professionally, because they know it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
And that's why we're at, I think, where we are with public education being on this brink of absolute destruction, is because everyone's so afraid.
Yep.
All of these leaders are so afraid. I don't know of what. I mean, obviously it's their next job at least. But we need bold action. We need strong, courageous leadership because that system, the system of public education, is on the chopping block. There was, a bill passed through the House to, why is it so loud? Can I?
Yes.
Turn it off.
Sorry, Waze.
Waze is a little extra.
That's what happens when you're live.
I forgot what I was saying.
But having the strong leaders and
Oh yeah. The House passed a bill trying to shut down the Department of Education. I read something maybe about in my 1 hour or less of social media today that Trump might sign an executive order starting that process. Yeah. I've seen a lot of my educator friends posting about the value of the Department of Education for their students, for their children. specifically. And so where are all of my union presidents all over the country? Where are you? Where are you?
Yep.
It is Hail Mary time.
It's go time, people. Like the house is on fire.
The teachers union is the largest union in the entire country.
Yep.
Where are you?
Yep. And, and especially when we have, teachers who are like, what do I do if ICE comes to the door of the school?
Yep.
Sending out a Canva thing that's got 15 million links and, sample language for school board, but with no real direction. Like, that's great that you provide all this information.
But people need a one-pager.
We're overwhelmed. Teachers are overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
They're scared.
Mm-hmm.
They're freaking out. They need people to step up and say, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
this is how you stay safe. This is how you keep each other safe.
Yep.
Know your rights.
Yes. There's mandatory know your rights training that every union should be doing.
Yep.
Every union should be doing to train their members.
Yep.
So then those members can take it to train their communities, help their students, train other members.
Yep.
Like, stop the fear, people. Stop the fear.
Stop it.
Let's go back to our real labor roots.
Yeah.
The labor union and the movement was built on violence.
Do you want to go back to violence?
We may have to. If it's going to take
this is
something, what is it going to take?
That worldview shattering for me too was that what I thought was designed to push back on political systems, unions, was actually a puzzle piece within it.
Yep.
And like the NEA, the National Education Association, the countrywide, nationwide teachers union, one of two, was founded by actual male principals, okay, administrators, not teachers. And then they needed some extra help, so they let the ladies come on board. So it's part of the problem. So yeah. I guess that's maybe one of those things too, as we move forward in the great unknown that is right now, is trying to radically reimagine what organizing should look like, and get out of this trap of it's always been done this way. We have to do it like that. Like, take what works and leave the rest, and let's fucking start over. And in my opinion, everybody needs to hand over the keys to the smart women, because we deserve a chance to try out what we've been begging to do.
Yep.
Rhiannon and I considered ourselves burn it downers, along with a handful of other our siblings, union siblings,
yep.
Who had really great ideas, who weren't afraid to push the envelope and make people mad, and we were pushed out.
Yep.
So what would that look like if we could start afresh? Because that was another thing that was so frustrating with this organization too, is that they have brilliant staff.
Yes.
Brilliant staff, not teacher members, not educator members, brilliant staff that were not allowed to communicate with us openly, that were, not allowed to have ideas, run with them, truly collaborate. It was like this wall.
That wall is called power hoarding.
Yeah.
So miss me with that bullshit.
Miss me with that bullshit.
You ain't really wild. You're a tourist.
Kendrick, yeah.
So let's start there.
Yeah.
Let's start there. Stop the bullshit. Stop the performative.
And,
throw Robert's rules out.
Robert's rules have got to go.
Got to go.
So does that goddamn wedding cake.
That's that. It's the written word. It's the damn written word.
That is the obsession with the written word, another aspect of white supremacy culture.
I appreciate order. Especially running a meeting. I appreciate that there is some order, some process. But when it gets in the way of change and work that needs to be done, the system needs to go.
Yep. And clearly everything is rooted in white supremacy culture, the patriarchy, all of these things. Let's get with some indigenous leaders, some indigenous grandmas, and ask them, how do we have order in a big meeting? How do we do this democratically? How do we pull out these colonial systems from our life right now?
Yep.
Because it ain't working.
No, it ain't working. It ain't working. Oh, gosh. Well, we have
some driving to do.
And we've got a beautiful sunset lit mountain range in front of us that is just absolutely gorgeous. And
all right, team. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Good luck out there.
And tune in again.
Tune in next time
with
two recovering teachers.
Peace.